Welcome, my fantasy friends, to Starting Lineup. It is a huge week in fantasy as 6 teams have a double game week. The top teams in fantasy will certainly have their rosters filled with 2 start players from the Houston Dynamo, Columbus Crew, Seattle Sounders, FC Dallas, San Jose Earthquakes, and the Colorado Rapids. Also, remember that next week you have unlimited transfers, so you'll be able to adjust your roster ahead of those World Cup camps. Last week, Andrew Wiebe gave you some players to look at from the double week teams, so check the link to that in the description if you haven't seen it already. How about some red light, green light this week? Green light, Brad Davis at $10.8 million. It's been a slow start for the Dynamo, but 2 starts at home this week. 2 chances for him to make a final impression on Jurgen Klinsmann before that U.S. camp is announced. Not to mention, Columbus Crew winless in 5 games, and Real Salt Lake has given up 2 goals in 3 of their last 4. Those are stats that bode well for Davis. Yellow light, JJ KOVAL at $4.6 million. He looks intriguing because of the price tag, the double game week, and his 3 straight starts, but he struggled against Vancouver last week. I don't think he's a guarantee to start either game this week, never mind both. In fact, I'm considering starting Lloyd Sam over him in my own lineup. Red light, the Vancouver Whitecaps and Montreal Impact players. They have all the negatives of a double game week with none of the benefits. They play Canadian Championship games on Wednesday, which means the potential for injury or rest when the weekend rolls around. And of course, they're not getting any points for those Canadian Championship games. Just not worth it this week. Green light, people in green. No, sorry, Timbers fans, I'm talking about the Sounders this time. Dempsey and Martins would make great captains for you. Also worth mentioning, Nagel, Evans, Yedlin, and Marshall. Seattle seemed to struggle a bit last week to make that final pass in the attacking third, but the chances were there for them to score 4 or 5 goals. I think they can correct that this week against a Dallas team at home. They should give you the fantasy goods, and look at that New England game on the weekend as just an added bonus. Yellow light. Here you go, Timber fans. Diego Valeri. If you have him already, I definitely think you ride him despite the fact that he only has 1 game and it's against a tough LA Galaxy team. The Galaxy were without Marcelo Sarvis last week, and it hurt them in the middle of the field. He'll be out again, so more reason that Valeri can continue his rise back to form that saw him as a must-start in fantasy last season. Red light, Chivas USA goalkeepers. Oh wait, that's red cards. How about Joao Plata? The kid is on fire with 21 points in the last 2 weeks, but I see him struggling this week in Houston, where RSL is 0-8-1 all time. On top of that, you have Sabo and Beckerman, who are about to leave for their World Cup camps, and their absences will certainly make things more difficult on Plata moving forward. I say you sell him now while you get the best value for him. That's it for now, my fantasy friends. Be sure to check out all the past starting lineups through the link in the description below. And stay tuned later this week for some advice from Chicago Fire forward and self-proclaimed fantasy guru, Quincy Amarikwa.